Okay, so we are back, and first order of business right away. Last night was a pretty busy night of games. The matinee game, Tampa Bay and Ottawa. Who saw that coming? Ottawa wins 4-0, and Steven Stamkos, 0.6 fantasy points against Ottawa, of all teams. So no goals, no assists, obviously. 3 hits, 3 shots on goal for your 0.6 points. So that was pretty disappointing, but he's been pretty hot all year, so it is what it is. Buffalo and Washington. Washington beat Buffalo 3-2. Ovechkin had an assist, 6 shots on goal, 1.6 fantasy points in that game. Patrick Kane, he's actually playing pretty well. I mean, he's got 7 goals and 15 assists, 22 points in 23 games played, and yet it doesn't seem like he's actually playing that well, or at least producing points. That is the one thing about playing fantasy sports in general, where, you see a guy's stats and you're like, oh, well, he must be struggling, especially in hockey and even baseball, really. Oh, this guy must be struggling because he's not producing the stats, especially the eye-popping numbers that maybe you're used to or something like that. Like Troy Terry is a good example. He played really well the last couple games, and he didn't produce a single point. And Pittsburgh shut him out 1-0, so no one else did either. But, you got to be careful where you say, well, this guy's struggling or this guy's not, based upon the stats. Because, if you watch a couple of games, I see it on Twitter quite often where this guy's struggling in his last 5 games, he's only had 1 or 2 points. But if you watch the games, he's actually playing pretty aggressively. He's got a bunch of shots on goal, good shots on goal, and he's throwing some good passes, whatever the case may be. He is actually playing pretty well. He doesn't get the points for whatever reason. So that is one thing to keep in mind when you're talking fantasy sports and determining whether or not the guy is struggling or not based on the numbers, because the numbers don't tell the whole story. So anyways, so Chicago lost to Toronto 5-4 last night. And again, Patrick Kane, no goals, no assists. So statistically, he's doing fine, obviously, but he doesn't seem statistically to be having the greatest season, even though he's got 7 goals, 15 assists, 22 points in 23 games played, which I would say is pretty high level. But maybe that's just because we all know Patrick Kane is one of the best players in the world, or at least I think he's one of the best players in the world still, right? Would you guys not agree? So yeah, it just doesn't seem like, he's putting together those games where he's just got those eye-popping numbers. But he did win the other game. I forget which one it was. He won in a shootout. He had a shootout goal in one of the games there, and they won. So, he's not going to get credit for the goal or anything like that, but he helps them win. Anyways, so Boston beats Calgary 4-2. So Brad Marchand has a goal and an assist, 5 shots on goal for 3.5 points. Patrice Bergeron has 2 assists, 4 shots on goal, a hit and a block. He's got 3 points. And Toronto, of course, beat Chicago 5-4. I'm just looking at my team here. And I have John Tavares and William Nylander, which they've both been playing pretty outstanding. And Tavares had a goal and an assist, a couple of shots on goal for 3.7. And Nylander had a goal and 2 assists, 2 power play points, 3 shots on goal for 5.3 points. And I think he was the leader. Yeah, he led all skaters in scoring. Had a good goalie day. Finally, right? So yeah, and St. Louis beat Montreal 4-1. Montreal is playing pretty poorly, right? So St. Louis wins 4-1. Again, they're still shorthanded. How they're winning these games, I don't know. But Jordan Kyrou only had 0.4. And again, Troy Terry, they got shut out against Pittsburgh 1-0. So he's got 0.6. Again, looks like he struggled, but I caught parts of that game. It looked like he was playing pretty well to me. They couldn't beat Pittsburgh. I mean, they got shut out. So sometimes goalies steal games, and that was one of them. Columbus beat Seattle 5-4, but Zack Werenski only had 0.3 points. He had 3 shots on goal. And San Jose beat Dallas 2-1. Mario Ferraro, 2.3 points because he had 4 blocks and 3 hits. That's what I love about guys that can block shots, especially defensemen. Anybody really, but especially defensemen. Those blocks are a half a point each, man. They really do add up. And he's just a blocking machine, this guy. So yeah, 2.3 points, no goals, no assists, didn't score, but 4 blocks and 3 hits. And Erik Karlsson having, I mean, I would think you'd have to call it a comeback year, wouldn't you? He had a goal, 5 shots, a hit, and 2 blocks, 3.6 points. So I had 25 on the day total. And then Jack Hughes actually scored a goal again. He's actually playing pretty well, it seems like. They lost 4-2 against the Islanders. Islanders finally pick up a win at home, their first win. Woohoo! And but yeah, he scored a goal. He seems to be playing pretty well. Devils don't seem to be playing all that well, but he definitely seems to be playing pretty decently. And Edmonton certainly isn't. I have Evan Bouchard on my bench. I think they've lost, 5 straight games now? Carolina beat them last night, 3-1. I know it's Carolina, so that's not, I wouldn't necessarily consider that a bad loss, but they did only score 1 goal. And yeah. So as far as my goalies are concerned, James Reimer comes back after, what was it, about 2-week absence, something like that, fairly lengthy time. And I guess it was exhaustion that kept him out of the lineup, but he certainly looked pretty good last night. 34 saves on 35 shots, gives up the 1 goal, gets the win. Again, San Jose won 2-1, 8.8 fantasy points. So I'll take that. It's one of the better games you'll see. And I didn't start Mikko Koskinen. He had 28 saves on 31 shots, didn't get the win, of course. He got negative 0.4, but again, I didn't start him, so that was fortunately a good call. And so right now, 927 points total. Second place is 862. So I have a decent lead on him. And let's see if I can just go to the standings here real quick. It's again, the goalies are what's keeping me from even extending that lead, really. But the last couple of games have been nice because I got the Fleury shutout, and obviously I get this game for his first game back. But yeah, so I've given up 124 goals against, and I have 21 wins. And the next closest is 105. So, and really there's only 1, 2, 3 other guys that have given up 100, 3 other teams that have given up 100 goals or more. So I've given up essentially 20 goals more than any other team in the league. So that's not helping my cause any. And I have 21 wins. And there's a couple with 28, 25, 22. So goalies are struggling a bit. And yeah, what else is going on? I did just check the standings, which I thought were pretty interesting. If I could just get it up here, the Eastern Conference, man. You got Florida, Toronto, and Tampa Bay, 40 points, 38. And then Washington, Carolina, and the Rangers, 40, 39, and 39. And the top 3 teams, Florida, Toronto, and Tampa Bay in the Atlantic, are all 7-2-1 in their last 10. And coincidentally, the last team, Montreal, is 2-7-1. So I just thought that was kind of a cool numbers little game to play. And yeah, Islanders won their first game at home last night, so that was cool to see. And man, Minnesota Wild, I mean, I know they lost their last game, but 8-1-1 in their last 10, 19-7-1 overall. They're definitely one of the best teams in the league, but you have a lot of teams out there, a lot of really good teams. But there's a few like Montreal, Arizona. Vancouver was one of the teams that was kind of one of the worst teams in the league, but they've won 3 in a row under Bruce Boudreau. And they're looking like they're a pretty solid team right now. We'll see if it can continue. And Ottawa is 8-16-1. You have other teams. The Blackhawks have actually done pretty well. I mean, they're 10-15-2, but they're 5-5 in their last 10. Seattle's actually done fairly well, except this little recent stretch here where they've lost 3 in a row, but they're 5-3-2 in their last 10. They're 9-15-3 with 21 points overall. So yeah, it was a busy day last night. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games going on. That Carolina-Vancouver game should be interesting. I'd like to see Vancouver at least get a point out of that, because, like I said, they're 3-0 under Bruce Boudreau. That'd be a cool game to just have them get a point against one of the best teams in the league. They did beat Boston in that. I think it was a shootout. So, they've obviously played a couple good teams here. So you have Nashville and the New York Rangers, Anaheim, Seattle, or St. Louis, Florida, Colorado. That should be a really good game. I wonder if Colorado is going to score 7 goals again in that game. Minnesota and Vegas, and, of course, Carolina and Vancouver. So hope you guys get to watch a few games. And thanks for checking me out. I really do appreciate all the support. Again, can't thank you enough. Thanks for checking it out. And we'll see you again soon. So thanks, guys.